we had about 50 yards away. And so the bike was like, I was going to the owner of the farm takes a look at this and he's like, "Hey, we're not to look at that." And he goes, "Oh, no, film that." No, it was
Have that link, right? You have the link to the page right now?
No, I don't. Why you want to just now?
Yeah, it's not smart tracks. You're sending.
Yeah.
If I'm sending, you're not sending it. Different one than the part.
Like little junior kids get like.
Here, I can go on the.
Right. It's what I thought.
You know, kids learning what homework is and checking in on their phone stuff.
Yeah.
You know, eating a t-shirt for an hour or so a night, every night.
Put on the website.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. I'll find it.
Would you take a picture of the pros and cons of the three different locations, and I had a hard time reading it even, I did bring glasses. So that's why, and that way I can read it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. And we want these out of my motion. We have to watch. I didn't get public. Oh,
Oh, and then what Rita was just explaining is it's being televised. They encourage people to come up and just.
Someone will just look at the
Look at
picture.
the exhibit, but
Yeah, you can do that one. Yeah.
For tonight, yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, so then this part is.
that's good point.
Feedback. And we can do all that stuff. We couldn't do it in a regular meeting and I didn't get a.
Yeah, there's.
No, we are live. Okay, welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's here for the Niven Park Playground discussions. My name is Julian Skinner. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Larkspur. And with us tonight, we have Doc, who is our administrative analyst too in Public Works and has been working on this project for over 2 years for a while. And Nick Stone, who's our Recreation Director. And so the purpose for our meeting tonight, actually a workshop tonight, is there is an item on the Parks and Rec Commission agenda tonight regarding the Niven Playground, and we thought it would be a better forum to get public feedback on our proposed changes to this project in a workshop environment versus the Parks and Rec Commission meeting tonight. We wanted to give everybody as much time as possible to interact with staff and get to ask their questions. And then where we are in the process, I'm gonna hand it over to Rita in a second, who knows way more about this project than me. But this project is out to bid. We've been working on it for a while, and we had a plan that was approved by the city council to go out to construction. And then over the last few months, as we've been looking at this project, Rita will explain how it morphed from a playground improvement, and it kept getting a little bigger as we added pieces. And then we kind of took a step back and thought this is really a new playground, because all that's there now is one piece of equipment. And so we kind of took a step back and thought, this location here is at the pinch point in the park where all these houses are closer together. If there was no playground here at all and we were gonna put one in, we probably wouldn't put it right there. And so because we're doing so much work, we thought this may be an opportunity to have a look and see if there's not a better location for the playground. And so we've looked at it at staff level, and we believe there are merits to the project, having it over here that Rita will go into and that we've outlined over here. But we don't use the park as much as some of you folks do, and we certainly don't live as close to it. So we wanted to give everybody an opportunity to weigh in. And so that when we go to council to award this construction contract sometime in November, we can tell them that staff has an idea where the park should be and the public feedback was this. And then council can ultimately weigh in if they want the location of the playground to be changed when they award the contract later on. So that's kind of an overview. I'm gonna hand it off to Rita to kind of talk about a few things, and then we'll just kind of keep it general, and then we'll have a Q&A session. And we'll ask if we do that while everybody's still seated, because we are recording tonight. And so we want down the road, if there's going to be decisions on this project, we want people to be able to hear the Q&A, and we certainly want to be able to record everything and weigh all the comments that we get tonight. So we are recording it. And then when we're finished with all the Q&A session, then we'll invite everybody to walk up and they can come around and look at the exhibits, and then you can interact with staff one-on-one if there's anything more specific about any of these proposals that you'd like to discuss. So Nick, anything else you want to add?
Said it perfectly.
Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to Rita now, and then she'll just have a few brief points she'd like to go over, and then we'll open it up for a Q&A.
All right, thanks again. Appreciate you all coming out. So as Julian said, we're here tonight to talk about the location of the place. Considering moving it from its current location to alternate locations. These exhibits here are provided for context. We've already designed, the playground has already been designed in the location A, and there's things that are in there. So I just wanted to just give everybody context for what is being planned. If we do ultimately move the location to B or C, the same elements will be there, but it'll be reconfigured somewhat, just because the space is a little different, and the topography of A and B are a little different than, or sorry, B and C are a little different than location A. So as Julian said, when we first started this project, and maybe some of you came to the meeting that we had, it was just right before COVID. You know, at that time, the budget was very small. We was kind of just looking at a new play structure and maybe a little extra something. And I did a couple online surveys, and people did comment that they wanted the playground to be expanded. So we kind of went with that, and you know, we expanded it to the next level up. And I think there was a second survey that went around and that showed that. And so at that point, we had already brought on a landscape architect and a civil engineer on the project. So there were already expenses that were incurred on the project. And so as many of you know, there was about a year and a half ago, a private donor came in and wanted to underwrite the entire project. And so we just went along with the same location, just because we had already done a lot of design and some outreach on that. So that's how it ended up being in the location it was. So as you know, we moved to today, you know, we've heard from the community. They felt there was a feeling that you all weren't involved in the you know, in the progress and the updating and the enlarging of the playground. And so we wanted to go ahead and do that today, just so that everyone understands, like, here's what we have in mind. This is how the project grew. And like Julian said, you know, we just wanted to kind of take a step back and say, okay, you know what, if this was a brand new housing development, you know, the park and both sides, where would we put the playground? You know, and so that's really the what's up for discussion today. Again, these are the things that are already in the design that was approved by council. And these boards over here have location A, B, and C. And the comments that are printed are sort of our staff comments. This is how we look at this project and the merits that we see on all three locations. That being said, we want to hear from you, because I know some of you, live close to the playground, especially location A, or maybe B or C. But, we want to give you that opportunity to talk about what you think are the pros and cons, of each location. So the Post-its are there for you to do just that. And then lastly, just in terms of the scope of the project, we do want to think about the fact that this playground was put in 50 years ago, when these developments were first built. And things have changed a lot in 50 years in terms of just our community, the way that we look at play and children. We've got a lot of different children that come to playgrounds who are not completely able-bodied. They've got cognitive, emotional, physical limitations. And a larger playground does allow them to play in a more inclusive way. And also for our caretakers, grandparents and people with different abilities, being able to go to a playground that is accessible, that's got ADA pathways, path of travel. These are the things that we are looking at when we are designing a playground. It's not just to make it big and add a bunch of play structure. And when you look at the play structure, the new playground design, even though it's designed for A currently, the number of 5,300 square feet was thrown around quite a bit. Well, that includes everything. That includes the landscaping, it includes pathways, it includes a little picnic area that we have for families. So the actual play area equipment, active play, maybe about two and a half the size of the current playground. So, that number 5,300 sounds big. It sounds, wow, it's 5 times the size of the playground. That's not quite true. So I just wanted to make sure we're drilled into the facts of, really what's happening with the playground. The other very important piece of information is that there is a fence that will go around the playground, and that is just for safety for the children and also to prevent dogs from running into the playground. If you've been in this playground, you see dogs go running through the playground, and when you're talking about a playground for 2 to 5-year-olds, that fence is to keep the dogs out as much as to keep the kids in. And I'll just say, parenthetically, at Dolliver Park, that I don't know if any of you have been to Dolliver Park recently, but we have actually installed a play structure for 2 to 5-year-olds, and we put a fence in around, and that is the #1 comment that I get from the parents and the repairs. The fact that everybody, yes, we want to say that we sit there and we supervise our children all day, but the fact is, you're distracted, you're talking to people, maybe we have a dog, we have a child, on the phones, whatever. But the peace of mind that you get when you're in the playground and you know that your child is contained in, a play area with a fence, that's enormous. And so, whether it's location A, B, or C, there will be a fence. It'll be about 3 feet high. This is pretty much what it'll look like. Very, very unobtrusive. It'll just blend into the landscaping. But I did want to point that out because there was a lot of comments about people talking about it's, dangerous closer to the street. But again, the whole area will be closed with a fence and then a chocolate lawn. So I think that's all I have to say. And just want to make sure everybody's signed in on clipboards. And then once we're done with, looking at the things and you're looking at your comments, we have some dots over here. We've got some red dots and we've got some blue dots.
Green.
Or no, red dots and green dots. So red is green is up. And so you'll get one each, and we want you to be able to come up here and just put a dot. So the location you like the most, put a dot by that location. The location you like the least, put a red dot on it. If you're kind of meh on either one, just pick one. So I think that's concludes what I have to say. And
Yeah, I think that's we can move into the Q&A. So what we'll do is if you have a question for staff, if you can raise your hand, we'll call on you. If you want to provide your name and where you live and how you use Niven Park for context, that's fine. Name would be good because we are recording it, and so if we need to get back to you later on, if you have any questions, it would be good to have a name. And then we'll go through a session of the Q&A, and then when we think we've got most of the questions and answers addressed, we'll invite you to come up and we can have more of an informal chat with staff through here. And then you don't need to duplicate anything that you're going to do here. Again, at the Parks and Rec Commission, we will be giving all the information from both this workshop and the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting later on to the city council when we come back and we award a contract for this later this year. So if you make your comment here tonight, you don't have to come back and duplicate it at the meeting later. You're welcome to. You will probably hear exactly the same thing from Rita and me. We won't be sharing anything new at that meeting. So I just wanted to let folks know that too. So we can start with anybody who would like to ask a question. We are recording it, so if you could speak up a little bit. We've got a microphone that's attached to the camera, so it's yes, sir.
Yes, my name is John Dakin, and I and my wife have lived in Cape Marin for 10 years. And within this last month, it's the first that we had ever heard of a project having to do with Niven Park. We don't think that in the last 10 years there's been any notice at all given to the people who live adjacent to the park. My question is, you are not part of the city council, but so is this a fait accompli? One of the is when we leave here tonight, will you then go and make a decision and proceed to build this thing?
Okay, so I'll take the two parts, the notification first. Rita, do you want to describe all the notifications we did
Yeah.
throughout the last few years?
So this project kicked off, it was right at the beginning of, right just before COVID, so it would have been February 2020. So at that time, I sent out postcards, 2 postcards to every address in Cape Marin and Drake's Landing, saying there's going to be a community meeting and everybody was invited. I also had, I think I had gotten a list from your HOA and sent out emails. And so the meeting was held in February over at the Sotheby's real estate office location. So there was one in the evening. I think there was one during the day. That's my recollection. So that was the kickoff to, you know, this is where we're gonna be improving Niven Park. Please come. So, and then after that meeting, we did a follow-up. We did a survey. So, you know, based on the feedback that I got at that meeting, I did a survey. And again, postcards were sent out to everybody in those 2 neighborhoods, inviting people to, you know, provide their feedback on the survey. So those were, that was, you know, that was the extent of the direct mail to, and plus I also had signs up on at the playground and whatnot. And then at that point, after that, you know, then we went into design mode based on the feedback. We went into design mode, got the landscape architect on board, civil engineer on board. And then at I think 6 different Park and Rec Commission meetings, I discussed this project. And then at 2 city council meeting, and the final city council meeting is when the project was approved by city council. And these are all meetings that are on the website as being, you know, the regularly scheduled monthly meetings. And, you know, that's usually the way that we
Well,
handle.
I just want to comment that neither I nor my immediate neighbors have ever discussed this in the 10 years that we have lived immediately adjacent to the park.
Mhm.
And I hear your comments, but I think it's very strange that we are just brought into the conversation at the very end. The other comment I would like to make is, this is going to change the entire character of Niven Park. And I think that for a project which is going to change the entire character of the, there should have been more notification. And I understand that you people are the functionaries. You are not the decision makers, except you are going to provide recommendations to the council. And so I would suggest to the people who are here that we convene at the next council meeting and make our voices heard.
Also, can I say, I'm at 45 Lucas Circle, I'm right next to the current play structure, Selma, Michelle. We only got one postcard. And never was it discussed that there was gonna be an expansion of playground. So it was very misleading. What was gonna happen, and I literally live right next to the playground, 45. So that's what, and I only got one postcard. My husband went to the meeting, and that's the last we heard of it.
Okay, I will follow up. There was a second part to your question. So it is unfortunate that some of the notifications maybe didn't end up where they were supposed to. The mail service is not perfect. But again, here we have another opportunity. We've done another round of the same notifications. Unfortunately, you did receive this one. And then your question about whether this is a done deal or not. So this project, as it is shown in location A, has already been approved by the city council. So they reviewed the plans and they approved the installation of a park here. The next step is we have gone out and solicited contractor bids to build the park there. And parallel to that, we are now looking at a project change to move the location of the park. The next thing that happens as far as approvals go is the city council, because of the value of this construction contract, will have to award the construction contract to take place. We as staff can't just now tell a contractor to go build it. City council approval is needed for that. So while we're going through this thought in the alternate park location, that's a big enough design change that we want to send that decision back to the city council too. So while they have approved the park in location A, we're now going to ask them to award a contract, but also consider putting it in location B or C at the same time. So that will all go as one agenda item to the city council, most likely at the November 15th city council meeting. If you want to make a note of that, is when we would plan. At that time, we will have a bid from a contractor for location A. We will have talked amongst ourselves and taken the feedback from this meeting and looked at our decision making, and we will be making a presentation to the city council to award a contract and build a park in either location A, B, or C. That council meeting that's on a Wednesday, the 15th, what will happen is an agenda will be posted to the city's website, typically the Friday before that meeting. And you'll be able to see that agenda on the city website, and it will show what staff's recommendation is for that award. It'll say, we recommend that contractor X is awarded this contract in this amount, and that the playground improvements be constructed at location A, B, or C. It will say that definitively. So that will let you know what we plan to present to the city council on the following Wednesday. And then it will most likely be a general business item, which means that you will be able to make public comment. Well, you can make public comment on any item that's on the council agenda, but sometimes they're on consent and you have to pull them off consent. But I think there's probably enough public feedback on this that we put it on general business. And so you would be able to voice your opinions to the city council before they make the decision to award and possibly move the park at that meeting.
Thanks very much. That's good to hear.
Thank you, Rita. Sorry, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say a couple, my name is Kate Poseen. I own a house in Cape Marin. My parents own a house in Cape Marin, and my mother-in-law owns a house in Drakeview Circus. We have 3 houses there. So we have lived there, all of us, for a little over 7 years, and this is a convening spot for the families in the neighborhood. The kids play there, the parents spend time together. We enjoy being close to the water. I have to say, it is the one sort of spot in our area that really feels family friendly on the side of the creek. Frequently, because it is such a small playground, we'll drive all the way over to Piper Park or town park, we don't have a playground like that on our side of the creek. I wanna say I've been well aware of the plans for this. I've received both of those postcards. I participated in both of the surveys. My mom writes a newsletter that goes out to most of Cape Breton, and she's announced it multiple times in that newsletter as well. So I think you've done a nice job of gathering feedback, and I appreciate the natural setting that this playground has been designed to offer. My question is, I heard just the other day that the donor for this playground lost their young child, and they're doing it in the name of their young child as a remembrance and a gift in his honor. And I was wondering if they have any preferences or thoughts about how this playground can best memorialize their young child.
Thank you. Yeah, and I purposely didn't really dwell on the fact that this was a private donation, didn't want to make it seem like it was, trying to elicit emotion, but they did, again, originally, when I first met with them, we were talking about aid, and so that was just kind of the natural flow of the conversation, but in knowing that we were gonna be doing this workshop, they have actually expressed an interest in their location here, so probably see, because just the proximity to the shopping center, being able to, use restroom facilities, the parking is better because you're not parking in residential areas anymore. Just, yeah, so they do have a preference for these. So, and thank you for your comment about the notification. Yeah,
I'm sorry, Rita, I've had a hard time hearing that. Did you
Yeah.
say their preference was C?
Their preference is probably more C. I think I just told them generally that towards the street, and they thought that was a good idea. Again, just because, you get the synergy with the new picnic area and as well with the shopping center. And, if you've got a child who's using a restroom, or you want to go get some donuts or something, you can run over there, come back, and yeah. So
That's very helpful, thank you.
actually, I saw another hand go up there first. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, we're actually personal friends and family,
Okay.
and their preference has actually been location A. And I have like a public comment and things like that, I think it's maybe more appropriate to make here or
Okay.
at the meeting. All of us, or any of us are happy to do that.
Right. Yeah.
So are your comments representing the family? Are you representing?
Us as well, no, we're personal friends, but we also live in Greenbrier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know that their preference, so why the
So
why the
That
disconnect?
had been the relation they can show us it was a favorite of their sons.
Say that again?
It was a favorite of their sons and an
Yeah,
optimal
so-
location away from the street.
Yeah, so I talked to Dana, the mother, I talked to her just last week, and she said, yeah, first we were thinking A, but because I see is, she told me that she liked C.
Okay.
Yeah, just.
Can you just give a picture of the plan on the board here?
Which, this plan here?
No, the park, the overview of the picture, the photograph?
Same one.
It was
that,
on one with David.
Disappear.
No, I can get it up.
Okay, while he's putting that, I'll take the question over here. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Dana Hermino. I've lived at
That one.
22 Drake's View Circle for 23 years.
Okay.
The existing play structure has been fun. I enjoy it. It's the appropriate size for that space. I did receive the postcard. I did participate in the survey. At that time, I thought it was upgrading in that footprint. It all seemed like a great idea. And then just a few months ago, I hear about this much larger one, so I will kind of push back a little bit on the noticing. This letter was great that we received, so this noticing was awesome for this meeting, but there seemed to be a disconnect when the size increased, so that's my general comment. My question is, I see there is an agenda item on the planning commission, and you say we don't have to duplicate comments, but is the planning commission gonna be making a recommendation to the city council?
Yeah, it's the Park and Rec Commission, and no.
Oh, sorry, the planning.
Yeah, because the project's already been approved, so they're just getting an update from me.
But they're not
Pretty
making a
much.
recommendation. on-
They're not a recommending board, they're just an advisory board, so I'm just giving them information, and then they'll have some feedback probably either for us, or, they want to pass it to the city council,
Okay.
but they're not voting or approving. it.
They're not making a new location. Okay.
No, not
Thank you. Who is?
city council. I'm gonna go back to.
Okay.
Okay.
So one question, here's I'm Robin Dolan. This is my house right here. I live right
I'm the closest to C of anyone in this room. But we do acknowledge it's small, so how are you gonna expand with the paths the way they are? How are you gonna expand A to make that bigger? Are you gonna go closer to Drake's Landing? I don't know how you're gonna expand the footprint there, because it's really small right now.
It'll,
Oh, there it is.
There's the
Oh, there
picture.
is a plan.
So
Oh, I see. I got it. Okay.
can I ask
Okay.
a similar question about the picture? Well, okay, so I'm Sherry St. John. And my house is one with the solar panels and the corner looks out basically right towards B. And my question about location B is what was sent out, and I agree, by the way, the notice that just came out last week, although it was kind of short notice, was awesome of showing this picture. What I realized is that the Google Earth photo, it looks like, was taken before the picnic ground expansion. So what I'm curious about with B, because it looks like the perimeter fencing for A and C would go right up against the paths. But I didn't know how that would work with B, with the concrete that had already been poured. So that's one question. And then I have a similar question on all three, actually. How much hardscape is inside the circle? Because of the accessibility, I totally support the obviously accessible and having all the pathways. But the new picnic area is a lot of concrete, even, the trees are sunk inside all of the concrete. So I just wanted to understand within the circle, how much hardscape and how much concrete's needed for the ADA? And then how is that gonna work in location B, given that it's already been expanded with concrete?
so the new picnic area is on the street side of the path. Between the pathway and Berry Way.
Right,
Yeah.
with there's a bike thing though that does come
Yeah,
out
so-
with
right.
some, yeah.
So, we may repurpose that bike path to, if it goes to the location, we may repurpose that to be included part of the entrance. But there won't be a ton of, the pathways are gonna be narrower, they're gonna be, maybe probably about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet. It's really for pedestrians, it's not for vehicles. So percentage wise, it'll be about 15% of the entire project. And really, it's just to get people from A to B to different spots within, different spots within the playground, so, to the play structure, to the stepping stones. It'll mostly be, almost half of it is landscaping. So there won't, it won't feel like a concrete
Like a sea
jungle.
of concrete.
Yeah, it will not, and even the underneath the play equipment itself, like safety, you can't do that anyhow, but it'll be a synthetic turf, and so it'll be green, and it's safety, it's that cushioning we need, so it'll be green, so it'll feel like a garden.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
I was
I'm
interrupted, so I wanna.
There's some other.
I know, but I didn't get to finish my question. I was interrupted.
I interrupted her.
Okay, so my comments here on C is that this park is used a lot. I know it's a lot of dogs, but there's frisbee, there's baseball. I feel like one of the disadvantages, and I'll put it on the post-it, is it's gonna break kind of, especially B, it's gonna break the park up, and it's gonna make this big grassy place that a lot of people play in and run and not really usable. So what I prefer A, because I want that big open space still available. There is a bench right here, and there's also a wall, like this wall structure. At night, when people are sitting on those benches, I can hear it right in my backyard. Like, I know, Selma, I appreciate, you're right on the park now, but I didn't buy a house next to a park. And I just really have a strong preference as Robin Dolan, 29 Elizabeth Circle, to not have all of that noise in my backyard.
Okay, thank you.
Are you done, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. I live right here. So I don't mind the playground right now. It's small, but it's gonna be very expanded. Plus, you're gonna have things that are different. They're gonna make different kinds of noises. For instance, I guess pebble harp and some big flowers that make noise. But pebble harp, I mean, that's gonna be, that's not going into pebble harp.
It's gonna go, it'll be going in, but it's not, it is minimal, and I'm gonna.
I know,
actually
but-
get a- I'm gonna get a decibel reading.
Right, but the thing is, I mean, we're used to a playground where kids are laughing, crying, you know, where those are normal sounds we're used to, but you're now expanding it.
Again, it's almost half of it is landscape. The actual playground itself, so the current playground, that little structure, that circle, that's 900 square feet. With the new design, the actual play, where there's play equipment will be 1,800 square feet. So it's not 50.
I think one of the things that we're gonna be presenting to council when we get to the meeting is because we have had a lot of noise concerns, and I think the word playground triggers a lot of that. This is not a traditional playground by any means. There was a question about concrete. There's no sports court going on. There's no ball playing. Basically, there's a meandering 4-foot wide path that goes through this. I would almost call it a passive park. It's got a couple of little stations with minimal play structures for smaller children. This is not going to be like a school playground where there's gonna be all of the screaming and everything. You know, there is, the main play structure does get a little bigger and probably will get more used because it's brand new and it's gonna be great. It's part of the improvement that we're doing. You know, so there may be more children there. But you know, we will be bringing some of that sound information because I think that's one of the biggest negative feedbacks we've heard about improving the park is it's gonna make more noise. So, you know what, you have a park use there now that we've observed because we've been out there and we've, you know, seen dogs running and people and things like that. And then we're projecting a potential different use from there that has a different sound generation. So we want to make people aware of what that is. And that's something that we've recognized that we need to be able to present so that people can make an informed decision.
But I guess location A is closest to a lot of the homes, like the townhouse, if you can expand it, plus the house.
Location A.
Yeah, the fence, I mean,
Yes.
I'm thinking, why wouldn't you move it closer to, like you said, a fire station in case someone gets hurt?
That's why we're here.
But
Well,
when you bought your house, there was a playground there. When I
Right,
bought
but-
my house, I didn't
But,
have a
but the
playground.
thing is, but it's, I mean,
I'm gonna
expand,
stop for a second. Your house is
it's gonna be expanded.
Okay, I'm gonna stop for a second and let some other people have, you know, say what they'd like to say. I think there was actually a couple of hands here that have been up for a little bit. Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
If you're doing show and tell.
I'm on the outer part of this A. I get balls in my patio all the time. It is currently 30 feet, but it will be 10 feet from my home and 9 feet from my next door neighbors
To the fence.
to the fence. And what I'm wondering is, you said minimal playground equipment. What about this 21-foot structure?
Yeah.
So
It's not a rectangle.
Okay.
You'll see right here. It tapers out and it's got slats, so it's not a solid thing. So this is why I wanted to show this. So, you know, I think we wanna, if we could just step back for a second and actually look at what's being, you know, proposed here. I mean, we've got a play structure, that is the primary play structure. It is meant to be dramatic, it's meant to be like a, you know, like the crown jewel. But everything else, we've got an embankment slide, it's 3 feet high, it's a foot off the ground. Crawl through to like a crawl through log that you see like at the Marin Country Mart. We do have the sand and play area, but you know, a lot of these other areas, I mean, I'm including this in play equipment. These are just stepping stones. I'm including this in playtime. This is like a story circle time, very passive play. So, you know, it's the active play is gonna be the play structure, the embankment slide, and the sand play table, and then probably the tube. So these 4 things I would consider very active play. Again, I also want to point out that this is a playground for 2 to 5 year olds. It's not for school age children. It's for young children with families. It's for, you know, like this gentleman is over. You know, and it's like a discovery. It's more like a discovery center. It's not, you know, it's not like a school playground where kids are screaming. There's just not that much room to do that. It's really meant for families to come, you know, with their children, with their grandchildren. It is not gonna be this huge, like I said, a school playground, like even like Piper Park, where we have a big playground.
Will there be a gate on there? Because right now at high school kids have got to hang out and they hang out on the slide. Will there be-
There's no way you're gonna prevent.
Yeah, because they kind of hang out at night, they'll hang out and talk and stuff. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just saying, is there, you know, you can't prevent that, that's a little bit bigger,
You can't prevent it. No,
right, so that
but
might be more of a hang, you know, at night, kids hang out there.
maybe it is an enforcement issue with.
Well, so so if we do build a park closer to the street, it'll be more visible if there is an enforcement issue. Right now, the use of the parks is prohibited after sunset. So if there's people in there making noise after dark, it's a lot easier for the police who are driving by to recognize that in location C or B than it is in A.
Right.
Not that I will commit that you can call the police and they'll be right out there. There's a lot of things going on with
I'll
those
let
resources.
this gentleman speak. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, so my name is Matt Sandberg. I have two constituents who will see the play structure and who have used the current one, which is very outdated. So I think it's really thoughtful what's been done. I personally, so I live in 14 Elizabeth Circle. I'm about a block away from the park, and I personally prefer the current location. It's just a bit more convenient, a bit more, you know, kind of more community oriented to me. I think my second preference would probably be the location B, because it's close to the picnic tables. But the challenge with location B is there's a lot of dogs and people are throwing stuff all the time, and that really breaks up that grass. Yeah, and the challenge with C is you're gonna end up with a lot of like small kids, and those streets are busy. You know, like that's a very busy stop sign. People that are going into Bon Air are going very fast. And it's not an ideal location, because even though there's gonna be a fence, you're gonna have very small children, and that's really close to the street right there.
My name is Tim Farrell, I've got little ones as well, and I wrote a comment thing basically around the whole safety issue and it being close to the street, and I'm surprised that has not come up more. I mean, I'm not sure your name, but I agree with you on A. Meaning in just in August this year, a child in Greenville, California was killed, person was hit by cars that went into a playground. On May 15th, 2023, a 9-year-old was hit by an impaired driver. So a fence isn't gonna stop that. So the fact that little kids playing, you got people coming in and out of that, the gas stations, going fast, trying to get gas before they get on the highway. Friday night, somebody, whatever, because families will go there, after dark to hang out. Yeah, you get one errant car that goes with an impaired driver, there goes your park. There goes the kid. I think C, location being that close to the street is, I don't know, I'm surprised it's even an option for that way.
Yes, sir.
So, I live about 4 houses outside the picture here. I'm 23 Elizabeth Circle, Kareem Barzagar. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. I was personally born in Marin General Hospital. I was raised on Paseo Way in Green Bay. Before these homes were built, I used to ride my BMX bikes over the foundations that were being poured there. And I'll tell you that location A is, in my opinion, the best location. It's close to the water. It's close to the bike path. It's the furthest away from the street where a child can be abducted. And the fact that no one has brought that up blows my mind. If you go to C and there's kids that are close to the road, that's the easiest place to abduct a child. In my opinion, I appreciate your comments and your snickering. Thanks. I got 2 little ones. I'm not sure how many of you do. So I think that in location A, expanding location A, everything you guys have presented, I think is great. And I am all for everything that you guys have presented there. And I would just voice the opinion that there is a pass through between the houses. And I think one of the ladies up here, you mentioned near that house, you guys do an awesome Halloween, by the way. That pathway leads directly to that playground. And that provides a corridor of safety to the current location.
Yeah.
And so I think that having the water feature there is very nice and inviting. Folks that have to come from the opposite side of our development can ride up the bike path and be right there in location A. They wouldn't have to go anywhere near Berry. They wouldn't have to go anywhere near the corridor of lots of traffic. And being a person from Greenway my entire life, and having played at that play structure myself, having my kids play at that play structure now, I would feel the most comfortable having it stay in location A. And whether you move the center of that circle of A over a little bit, so these folks, their house maybe is not quite as impacted, maybe not as close, that general location there would be best. If you guys are spending millions of dollars doing this, where the sidewalk is now doesn't matter. That's not gonna get changed anyways. That's it.
Okay, we've got about, well, a couple more questions because we've got about 15 minutes left, and I do want to give folks an opportunity to get up and make their comments on the post-its and put the dots, the yes dots and the no dots up. So we'll just take a couple more and then we'll break and let folks come up, and you can still ask questions, but we won't be recording after this next two questions. So Rita, I don't know if you have hands in the queue.
Go ahead. Thank you. I'm Jim Fisher. I live at 41 Drakesby Circle. We're new residents there. We've only been there for 4 months, and this is the first we've ever heard of all of this. One of the comments I want to make is that how far did you say the fence is going to be from the 9 feet? 9 feet. 9 feet. These people right here are going to have all this 9 feet from their house. If I wanted to build a house or a structure 9 feet from somebody else's house, would I ever get a permit? No, a permit wouldn't be granted for anybody to build a house right on top of somebody else's. This A is very near Drake's Landing, and it's very near the people over here. One other question is, you were talking about ADA. In A, where are the people going to park that are bringing their kids that are ADA? Are they going to drive up into Drake's View Landing and park there and then walk through the little path? Or are they going to walk all the way from Berry or Drake's Landing Street all the way to A? How are those people going to get there? I mean, there's concerns for everybody in this, but in A, you're impinging on a lot of people very close, putting it right into their houses. ADA people are going to have a hard time walking all the way down there. And where are they going to park? They're going to have to park over on Drake's Landing and somehow get over there. It's anyway, that's my opinion on it. Thank you.
I just, first of all, I want to say thank you, because wherever these parks are going to be, it's going to be beautiful, and it's really going to be well used by kids. A lot of work is going into this, and I spend my life sitting at my desk looking over spot A. Right now, the playground is partially hidden from my view. If it's going to be built in part A, I will be looking straight down onto the playground. And then I and my neighbors along the park there, and I understand everybody's opinion, everybody's position here. I just want, and I was born at College Marin. We call it College Marin a long time before. But anyway, but really, all of us have these patios, and we're going to now sit in our patio, and we would be looking straight into the new fence. And so I just want people to understand why our position is what it is. So, they gave me their time. They was time.
My name is Pauline McNeely, and I'm president of the Drake's Landing HOA Board. And thank you to Julian and Dan that came out to us to the park and met with the board and Cammy to look at what was going in, because there was this communication from the 900 square feet to the 5,300 square feet. And I know it is 5,300 square feet, but not a lot of that is open space, but it's still enclosed by a fence, so you're still looking at a 5,300 square feet. But I hear everybody's concerned. I'm a retired special education teacher, so disability and accessibility have always been at the top of my list. And I listened to Joe talk about, yes, that's a long way for kids to go. Right now the park isn't very accessible for kids with wheelchairs or with walkers or whatever. You occasionally see one, but not very often. So I'm pleased that it's going to be a park that's accessible, but it also needs to fit that plan. I think it's very crunched in at the end, as we've heard from many of us, it's right in our backyards. It's not the 30 feet away from some of the Cape Breton houses up the other end. I think if it's in B, it squishes the middle of the park and takes away from that running piece that happens with the frisbees. But without A there and with B, and you have it in C, you've still got that long running space for kids to play football, to throw the frisbee. So I know from representing the homeowners in Drake's Landing, our biggest concern is how close it is to our backyards and how it will overtake our views and our living. Yes, we chose to live there and we knew there was a park there, but it was only 900 square feet. And it's been upgraded since I haven't lived at Drake's Landing that long, but I've always walked that park. So it was upgraded a few years ago. And it is used, but besides it doesn't impact us the way this one will.
Thank you. Okay, just to take one last question and then.
Okay, I'm Phil Fisher, it's my wife, Joan made the great comment about the proximity to the point A. Just a little bit of my background, we're 34 years in the Larkspur part of Green Bay and around the old Parkside School. Probably a lot of you probably went there. Everybody knows that's a wonderful little park now, it's a little playground there. And I hate to say, we haven't moved away 4 months ago, but you drive by in the morning, there's the nannies there, the benches there. It's very popular because there is a lot of parking and the playground is right near the street. I don't know if I would worry about kidnapping, actually, but I understand the concern about that. But in this particular, that little park, it really works very well. It's very popular. Okay, prior to being Green Bay, we lived in Corte Madera about 8 years. And just to sympathize with you guys, I was 8 years on the Corte Madera Planning Commission, mostly as chair. And we went through town center and the village during my tenure. And I got to tell you, we spent more late night workshops. So I can really sympathize with the efforts of folks there, and I appreciate it. Okay, now, I am concerned about the poor communication to the neighbors. I think that was really a shame. And I understand the scope creep part of this. Oh, it started like this, and then we got a donation that went like this, and we forgot to tell the neighbors that now we're over here, maybe we should have done better. It's unfortunate that the scope creep occurred, but I do sympathize with all of the people that said better communication is needed with Cape Marin. Okay, I believe one measure of a town's success is its parks. Parkside School is a perfect example. That tiny little playground. It's excellent for the little kids and the nannies, and you got a lot of room for occasional soccer players and kids playing catch. And then there's a basketball court. I really like that park. It's a shame we had to leave. My next favorite model is a Corte Madera Town Park, where there's this playground area right alongside Pixley. I think it serves multiple ages. I think there's a 2 to 5 playground and then a 6 to 10. The 6 to 10 has got the climbing walls, which is really interesting. Right alongside Pixley. You ever drive there in the afternoon or on the weekend? Pixley is the parking lot that parallels Pixley is packed because of the people using that park. So to me, access to parking is very important. Okay, so we talked about the playground at Green Bay School Park, Corte Madera Town Park. I can't really use Piper Park because that's really a whole different ballgame. That's multiple ages, tennis courts, basketball courts, you name it. Can't really use that. So my two models are the Green Bay School Park and Corte Madera Town Park. And I think, when I look at it, and I understand everybody else's concerns about location, but I like C because it still maintains the large area in the middle for the kids and the dogs and throwing catch. But if we can put the fence around it to protect against the traffic, and maybe we can even put concrete bollards on the sidewalk like they have in front of Bon Air stores to prevent cars from coming in there. That's really got great access for parking, and already we see the new picnic area that was built just recently along, Greg's Landing. Boy, you go by there in the afternoon or the weekend, the streets are almost always full now because people are using it. It's so popular, which is great. That's what it's for. That town, you succeeded. Anyway, again, I support the C location, great access, keeps some continuous open space, decent parking. We may see a parking problem later, but I think this is a great idea for the town, and thank you for all your help.
Okay, well,
Just gonna end with one thing about access and whatnot, you know, we've specifically invited your two communities, because you're right by the park. But I will also say that this is a park that is heavily used by the people of Greenbury Hills and the people that live on South Alicio. So, you know, access is parking and access is also very important, and it is a community park. It's, you know, and the community that this serves is not just your two communities, it is a little wider, so I just wanted to end with that.
okay, so at this point, we're gonna shut down the Q&A. I'll invite people to come up and browse the displays that Rita has put up. Please feel free to fill out a Post-it. Ask Nick for a red or a green dot so that you can.
Or both.
Sorry, yes, red and green, but one of each. Put a red or a green on your preferred and your least preferred. And then we'll be around, probably we could be in here till about 10 after 6 or so, and then we have to set the room up for the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting. If you have other thoughts, or if you have thoughts that are different after this meeting, feel free. Rita, do you want to be the point person for comments? And your email's on the letter that went out?
Yes.
Might have been mine.
Nick's. Okay, I think it was Nick's, yeah. Feel free to keep emailing Nick. If you have something you didn't have a chance to share tonight, or if after reflecting on the comments you heard tonight, you have additional thoughts. All the way up to the city council meetings, you have things that you think will help with our conversation and our discussion and decision, please let us know. So with that, I'll invite people to come up and have a look at the exhibits. Feel free to fill out Post-its and add your dots and chat with Rita or Nick or myself.
Zoom link maybe wasn't working for this meeting.
I got people on it right
Yeah,
now, although
okay, I
there's
heard
some
a couple
chat
people
that I had to get on and answer.
Get on,
There were
okay.
two though. I hope people didn't. There's a separate one for the Parks and Rec Commission meeting, so some people may have tried that one.
One of the challenges, I'm sure this comes up all the time, is parents of young kids are so busy, like I have just so many who wanted to be here, but they're like, oh, I have to watch the kids, or I have to
Let
like.
folks know they can email us.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to make a public comment and now we just email, if I wanted to say
You
something.
can
we say
email
something
it to me if you haven't, yeah, email it to me.
I mean, you can tell us now, we're gonna be here for another
Or if you
15
have a
minutes,
question,
but
or
just like.
is it a question or a?
It's just more of a public statement, like.
You should,
that's something that's allowed
you
in
should,
the-
yeah, you should email it, or, well, you
And then
can stay if you'd like, having it in writing might be a better.
Yeah, or you can stay and speak. at the Parks and Recreation Commission if you'd like it.
I'll do that.
Yeah, good, it's just at 6:30, it's not, yeah. You wanna answer a couple of these questions?
Yeah.
on Q&A?
It's just chat back and forth.
Yes, well, you know. Oh, now I know. It's Joe. City of Larkspur. Okay. Just grab one, what you don't like, what you do like. On it, on your.
Yeah.
You got yours, right? Yeah, she absolutely can, though.
I can get one green, one red.
Give you extra free.
She wants all.
Here, can you
Nice.
get one?
She wants
Okay with that,
playground
yeah.
all to be arrogant. Can you do that?
Hey, this is coming through.
Hey, Nick, did you kill the Zoom?
Not yet.
Oh, so it's still active? Okay, all right. I'm just not sure if the person that asked the question at 5:20 is still there or
Might
not.
still be on there.
Wait, you already voted.
Ask the question.
Are you? I'm Nick. Oh, yeah.
So this project is it's just now the location that's going to be
Location.
It's not that the project is going to be spread. That's what I just find. So what did I?
Well said.
Orange, sky, green, which do I? Yeah. Oh, you can see the traffic here on the way out. Yeah.
Thanks for you guys.
I can't wait to see you guys play on.
All right.
Yeah.
We should probably fill that out.
Yeah.
Yep. I wrote.